And I want to welcome you all to Zooming for Hosts. This is a webinar designed not necessarily for the person who is a rookie, complete rookie to Zoom. Obviously, you're all logged on, so you know something about at least getting onto a Zoom meeting. This is for those who desire to host some kind of a meeting. It could be a board meeting, it could be a meeting of your friends, but I'm going to tackle some of the tools and techniques for hosting a Zoom that were not covered in just the basic Zoom training that I did earlier, those 3 sessions. So we're going to be covering some tools that the toolbar is different when you host a Zoom as opposed to when you attend a Zoom and you just are a participant. Before we get going, well, let me go back to my other screen. I want to make note of a couple things. You should have received 2 handouts. Okay, one was the PowerPoint. I know those slides are really small, but there's room to write. And if you can't read the slide, it's just basically supposed to be for note taking. Once we are done with this Zoom, it will be recorded and you can access a recording of this on the CalRTA.org website. All you have to do is go down to the box that says webinars where you registered, and the recording will be uploaded in probably a couple days. My suggestion is that you keep a hold of your notes and then you watch that recording again and go through it, maybe even multiple times if you can handle hearing me multiple times. But that will reinforce some of the skills that we are going to go through today. Number 2, if you're having a hard time seeing this PowerPoint screen or it's not big enough, make sure that you are in full screen mode on whatever device you're on your computer. Make sure you're at full screen, which means typically in the upper right hand corner you should see a box. You want to make sure that that is the full screen. And the last item is because this is a fairly long presentation, it will take pretty much the hour. I would like you to submit any questions that you might have in the chat box or the chat using the chat tool. And if there's some time at the end, I might be able to address a few questions. Again, we have, quite a few people signed up today. So if there's time at the end, I'll hang out for about 10 minutes afterwards and address some questions. Otherwise, I'm going to jot down those questions that are in the chat bar, and then I will address them in a follow-up email to all of you. Okay, so that way I can make sure that I address the questions that you have as we go. Okay, just starting right off the bat, I just want to let you know that there are 2 different kinds of Zoom accounts. For those of you who maybe are division presidents or area directors, you may want, or even just anybody, you may want to open your own Zoom account. The freebie is over here on the left. When you go on to zoom.us, which is their website, there's a big orange button that says sign up, it's free. So you can just click on that. The basic, the list of items is here for the basic. The one difference that I want to point out is with a basic account, yes, you can have up to 100 participants, which is the same for the pro account. But if you are meeting, if 3 or more people are meeting together in your Zoom, you are cut off at 40 minutes. So just so you know, if you're meeting one-on-one with just one other person, you can go as long as you want. But the 40-minute limit for 3 or more people with the basic account. The pro account, if you go on to zoom.us and you see plans and pricing over there, then that will take you to registration for the pro account. So I would suggest the pro account. Sometimes they're even having a sale and you can get it for $12.95 a month. But the handout that I supplied you also shows you how to register for a Zoom account, a freebie account, or a pro account. So you might want to use that as a reference. Okay, first step as a host is you need to schedule your meeting, and there are 2 ways to do that. One, you can go through CalRTA, or you can schedule a Zoom meeting on your own if you have a free account or a pro account. Okay, so CalRTA has fewer steps to go through. The free account, you do have to fill out all the information on your own. Just so you know, yesterday I put together a how-to sheet on how to create or how to schedule a Zoom meeting through CalRTA, or how to schedule a Zoom meeting on your own with your own account. Again, if you would like that handout, you can type that in Zoom or in the chat bar, or email me, and I'm going to provide my email at the end, and I would be more than happy to send that to you, make it available. So the first one I'm going to show you is how to schedule a meeting with CalRTA. Again, this requires fewer steps on your part. First, you go into calrta.org, their website, but you do need to log in to do this. Once you're logged in, on the left-hand side, you're going to see a blue menu, and it's look for Division Resources. Once you click on Division Resources, you're going to be taken to this white page right here. Well, actually, you're going to, you're going to click on Division Resources, and then you're going to click on CalRTA Virtual Meeting Scheduling right here on the left. And then that will open up this scheduling page for you. The first step, once you have that page open, is to look down here at the calendar. Find the date that you are looking for when you want to have your meeting. But as you can see, and this is part of the June 2020 calendar, you can see there is something basically every day on the CalRTA calendar, and that could be webinars with it could be GoToMeeting, it could be Zoom schedules. You have to find a day that is fairly open, that provides you with the chunk of time that you think you're going to need for your meeting. So pick a day. And once you have a day in mind and a date, you're going to go up here to this gold colored request form, and you're going to click on that button. That is going to open up a Google form that you need to fill out, providing all the necessary information, who is scheduling the meeting, what's the date of the meeting, the time, etc. Once you have that all filled in, then you're going to click Submit, and it goes to CalRTA. And at that point, it usually is Irene Wetzel who handles this. Okay, she handles all of our scheduling for our virtual meetings. She's going to make sure that there is no conflict on the calendar. If your chosen date is good to go, then she will send you a confirmation email, which I'm going to show you on the next screen. So here's the confirmation that you receive in your email if you schedule with CalRTA. Notice that it does come from Irene, and it simply says that your requested meeting information is below. Notice it says to save it. This is really important. Save this email. Don't just read it and assume it's all done. You've got to save it, okay? This is going to be the invitation that you will forward to the people that you want to join your meeting that you're scheduling. Okay, so don't delete it. If you do, Irene Wetzel's contact information is made available. I cut out part of it here, but you can contact Irene and ask her to resend the invite. Notice all the information is here. CalRTA Zoom is inviting you to a scheduled meeting. Here's the title, here's the date and the time. Here's the link. All of you are familiar with clicking on a link to get into a Zoom meeting, so there's the link. Now here's something to note. You probably have people in your divisions or your areas that don't even have a computer, and they are going to join by phone. So you can't send them an email invitation to join by phone if they don't have a computer. So what you need to do is some way, somehow, you are going to provide them with this information in the red box. They will need to know the meeting ID number. That's this big 11-digit number. They need to know the password to get into your Zoom meeting. And they're going to need to know the telephone number. Okay, and it's usually this 669 area code number, which is San Jose. It's the California number. If they're coming in from another state, if you use a smartphone, you're not going to incur charges. If you have a landline, yes, you might. So make sure that you're taking care of your people who don't have computers, that they're going to join by phone. So this is the way that they're going to do that. Save this email, as I said, and once you have all the information that you need and you know who you are going to sign up for your meeting, you're going to send this to, all you do is forward the email that Irene sends you, this email, which is your confirmation. All you do is forward it to the people that you want to attend your meeting. That's all you need to do. And you can do that as soon as you receive the confirmation. That provides time for people to get it on their calendars. Now, you have sent that, that email out informing your folks that you are going to have a Zoom meeting. About a week before your meeting, you need to forward that email again to the people, okay? People lose their emails, they accidentally delete them. It's just a courtesy for you to forward that again to your participants, just to ensure that they have the information that they need. I would also suggest that you do that one day prior to your meeting. Once again, emails get buried. Sometimes they go clear to the bottom of your computer or even onto the next page and you don't see it. So if you send it the day ahead of time, that again is a courtesy for those participants. Okay, so that was scheduling through CalRTA. Now, if you have your own account, maybe it's a free account or a pro account, doesn't make any difference. You have your own account. The process is a little longer and takes a few more steps. Okay, so you go on to your account. So you log into zoom.us, okay, and you log in with your private information, your login information, and it's going to take you to your main account page, which kind of looks like this one right here to a certain extent. Okay, you get into your personal account page, you click My Account. That is in the upper right hand corner of the Zoom website. Once you log in, click My Account. Then you will click also in the right hand corner, Schedule a Meeting. Okay, those are the first two steps. That's going to take you to this box right here that you see on your screen. Notice on the left-hand side, you have meetings. Before you even schedule a meeting though, and I don't have a slide for this because it's so involved, you need to go into this settings here on the left. That's really important. There are so many settings that you need to become familiar with when you host a meeting. It has to do with chat boxes and participant, using the participant tool or recording your meeting. There are all sorts of settings. It would be worth your time to go through that and take a look at what's there and become familiar with those things. And there are little buttons that you can move to activate certain things and deactivate certain things. So I would do that first. So now you're going to schedule your meeting on your own here. First thing you're going to do, obviously, is type in your topic. That's simply the title of your meeting. It might be October board meeting. Description, that's totally optional. You don't have to put anything in there. It might be, we will be discussing the following items. Okay, just type in something if you want. You don't have to. This page is very long, so I'm just going to keep showing you what's on that one page as you keep scrolling down. So you did your topic and you did your description. Now you're going to put in the date and the time. There's a little red calendar here. You can click on that little red calendar and then easily find the date that you want to host your meeting. Put your time in. Please make sure that you choose the correct AM or PM. If you are planning on a 2 o'clock and you click AM, that's going to be problematic. Okay, so you got to be careful about that. You don't want to set it up so fast that you forget. The duration, honestly, it doesn't really make any difference. If you have a free account, and you're meeting with 3 or more people, remember that you're going to get cut off at 40 minutes, no matter whether you put an hour in there. So they're just going to shut it off. If you have that pro account, it doesn't really make any difference. This is more just to let your people know approximately how long the meeting is going to last. Now, keep scrolling down the same page. The next item is recurring meeting. For those of you who have meetings maybe once a month, same day, like the second Tuesday of every month at such and such a time, you can schedule that so it just is recurring. Okay, when you click on that button, a little menu will open up with all of your choices and the information you can put in there. You can also require people to pre-register for your meetings. I don't see why that would be necessary. With CalRTA, yes, we do pre-register for some meetings. So you can decide whether you need that or not. Meeting ID, the meeting ID is typically used again for people who are going to call in. You did not need the meeting ID in order to get into this meeting. All you needed was the link. So I just leave it at generate automatically. The passcode here, usually the default for Zoom is that you need a passcode and you need the waiting room. Some people are concerned about security with Zoom. This addresses the security problem. The passcode in the waiting room, not everybody's going to have that password or that passcode. And if you are a host, by the way, please don't ever put the passcode or the link to a Zoom meeting on social media anywhere or in some kind of a public setting. Okay. Again, send it in a private email and that should be good. But you can activate this, which means that if you had to do a passcode today, you would have had to click the link and type in the passcode in order to get into this meeting, but we did not require a passcode for this meeting. Those of you who signed in early, you were placed in the waiting room, and then I had to admit you. I think that's a good idea. Start admitting your participants about 5 minutes ahead of time, and I can show you how to open up that meeting room. So I opened up the meeting room once I started this meeting. Notice it, you don't hear the ding dong of people coming in, and they can come in as they like, okay? And you can make sure you have that setting. We're still on that same menu. Video. That means, do you want people to enter so we can see your smiling faces or not? Okay, yes, I keep it on for the host and the participant. You can always turn your cameras off in the course of a meeting, okay? And or you can request people to do that. And as a host, you can actually click on, I could go through and click on everybody's name in the participant panel and turn off all of your cameras if I needed to. Audio, I keep it on both because once again, you're going to have some people who are going to be calling in by phone. If all you have is computer audio clicked or just telephone, that means if you click telephone, that means nobody can enter on the computer. Click computer, nobody can enter on phone. So make sure it's on both. So both kinds of devices can get on. Now your meeting options, these are things that you need to decide ahead of time. Enable join before host. I don't ever do that. I don't want people entering my meeting before I've even gotten there. So that's why you have the waiting room. Mute participants upon entry. If you have a large meeting like we have today with 60 people or more, you might get tons of background noise with people with their microphones on. So I think it's important to mute participants upon entry. And there's actually a setting that I will show you that you can take away the privilege of individual attendees to unmute themselves. Right now, you could unmute your microphone if you wanted to, but as a host, you can actually make it so none of your attendees can unmute themselves in the course of a meeting, and it stays silent that way. I'm going to skip this one here because that's kind of a given. Record the meeting automatically. That's a nice setting. Why record? I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. I just think it's important for you to have a recording of all meetings. It's kind of like the minutes. So it's good to have. Once you've filled all that in, you're pretty much done. You click that save button at the bottom. Then this pops up, this screen here. This is basically a summary of the meeting that you just scheduled. It has your topic, your time, the ID, the password, the invitation link, your video setting, and all of your meeting options that you have chosen. So this is everything that you just decided to do. If you see an error in here somewhere, go down to the bottom where it says edit this meeting. That's you click on that button and it opens up all of this again. Say you got the AM PM wrong and you notice that, click edit this meeting at the bottom and you can go back and fix your invitation basically. Once it's all good, you're going to go up to this copy invitation right here. It's just to the right of the invitation link. Copy invitation, notice is a blue active link. Okay, you click on that. You click on that. This box is going to open. Okay, notice that it says copy meeting invitation. This is the meeting invite. Okay, notice actually the one that's here, for some reason I didn't include a phone number, but no, normally there are phone numbers there. Okay, just so you know. So you look at this, you go, okay, this looks good. If there's still an error, you cancel and you go back and edit. Okay, but if it's good to go, you're going to click on this blue copy meeting invitation. This whole middle part here, the invitation, is going to turn blue. The screen turns blue. Don't panic. You didn't break something. Turns blue. That means it has copied to your clipboard in your computer and your computer's remembering the invitation. Click cancel to get out of this window. Remember, the invitation is copied to your clipboard or your mouse. Now you're going to open up an email and you're going to paste the invitation into the email. Okay, and then you can send it to your participants. Okay, so there's a few steps there. And once again, you can access the video of this recording, okay, the recording video, and you can go through this again and pause and take notes and things like that. So if you've missed something. All right. So you've either scheduled with CalRTA or if you have scheduled on your own. Now you need to open, whoops. Now you need to open your meeting, okay? To open it with CalRTA, it's a little bit different. Remember that CalRTA is the host when you schedule through CalRTA. So the morning of your meeting or before the day of your meeting, a CalRTA CTC member, usually Irene Wetzel or Jim Sterling, are going to open the meeting for you. So you should have a link, remember, because they have sent you the invitation. They've sent you the invitation and you've forwarded it to people. So you have the invitation, you just click on the link and you wait for Irene or Jim to open your meeting. Be sure to let them know what time you want to log on. Okay, this meeting today started at 10:30. Jim Sterling opened my meeting for me about 20 minutes ahead of time. That gave me plenty of time to work out any glitches that I might have. So I'd say if you've got a 10:30 meeting over here on the clock, about 10 after, 20 minutes ahead of time, 15 minutes ahead of time is good. But you need to let them know what time you want to open up. Once you're logged on, CalRTA, whether it's Irene or Jim, they're going to transfer the host to you. You become the host. They can then leave the meeting if they need to. Or if they're going to stay in the meeting, they can make you a co-host. They can also transfer the host, responsibilities to you. So either one, and you have full control of the meeting at that point. Okay, so that's signing in with CalRTA on the day of your meeting. Now, if you want to sign in to start your own meeting because you've scheduled your own meeting, once again, you log into your personal account. So you're going to go to zoom.us, you log in, you're going to this is your login page. So I can log in with a Google account because I've saved that down here. If you have a Facebook account, you can log in with Facebook. So you don't have to fill in this email and password every single time you log into Zoom. You can usually just go right down here. Notice it says stay signed in. So click that. And then these should appear. If you have a Google or a Facebook account, you can log in that way too. It has all your information. Once you log in, this is your basically your personal account page for Zoom. You have a menu here on the left. Remember, I told you about the settings menu over here. Okay, you're going to click on meetings. Over here, your meetings will be listed in the middle. Any meetings that you have scheduled. So you find the meeting that you want to open and go clear over here to the right where it says start. So there's the 3 steps. Click on meetings, choose the meeting that you want, and then you go over here and click start. That's all there is to it. You're ready to go. Your meeting opens up. Okay, so now these are the controls that are open. Once you're in the Zoom meeting as a host, whether you got in through CalRTA or you got in with your own account, you are now the host of your meeting. And I want to point out a couple things. I'm going to take you through most of the items on this toolbar as a host will use them. Before we get into that, just please make sure that you check a couple things. These are just the basics when you're hosting any kind of a Zoom meeting. Check your computer audio, not the Zoom audio, but the computer audio. Okay, so look at your keyboard, locate those audio keys. They're usually in that top row of your keyboard. Make sure that you're not muted, that your sound system is not muted on your computer. Again, you have typically on your computer screen, the lower right-hand corner, you might have an audio icon down there that you can check as well. Make sure the audio is on. Once you've done that, go down to your Zoom toolbar and check your audio there. If you're seeing your face once you log in, then your video is working. You shouldn't have any concerns with that. But again, your audio, make sure your microphone is working and make sure that you can hear the sounds. So do that, a real quick Zoom check on that by clicking that caret. Okay, and I covered that in my last training. Also, these meeting controls, I always make sure that these meeting controls are visible to me. As I said in my previous training, to get to that, to make sure that this toolbar stays there all the time, you go into your Zoom account, if you have a personal account, and even, well, yeah, if you have a personal account, you go into, you click on the microphone icon right here, you click that little caret. When the menu pops up, you click audio settings, and then you go to accessibility, and then you click on meeting controls, which is in the middle of the screen, and you check the box. So those are the steps to get there. And that means that this toolbar will always be visible for you. Okay, now there are some security settings, and again, this is information, these are tools that you need to check before you actually get into your meeting. That's what I mean. You might want to get in about 20 minutes ahead of time, especially if this is a first meeting for you to host. You can lock a meeting. This is an option in the security settings, and this is the menu here on the right. Okay, lock a meeting. So maybe you have a very large meeting happening and you're going to start right at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you don't want people coming in late, no matter what. You can lock the meeting at 10 o'clock. And that means nobody, even if they have a password or a meeting ID, nobody will be able to get in. It is immediate activation. So you can't click lock meeting and say lock meeting at 10 o'clock. It won't happen. So it's immediately, you click on it, lock meeting, nobody can enter after that, after you've clicked that button. I suggest you enable the waiting room, at least initially. Again, this is for security purposes. You can admit people one by one. I'm going to show you that in a little bit. You can admit people one by one, or you can admit them in a group, numerous people all at the same time. And to do that, you activate that from the participants screen, and I'm going to talk about that in a couple minutes. You can also choose what your participants can do in your meeting when you are hosting. Do you want people to share a screen? I'm sharing a screen right now. It's got the PowerPoint on it. If I'm hosting a business meeting and one of my members has a document that he wants to share, and somebody else has a PowerPoint that she wants to share, you can give them permission in the meeting to share their screens. So you can check that if you want. Can they use the chat feature? Okay, the chat feature is opened up for you, so you should be able to do chat and rename themselves. Well, why not? If people don't want the name that's showing up on their screen, and maybe they don't want their last name showing. Okay, maybe they're using somebody else's computer, and the computer owner's name is on there, and they want their own name. They can change their name, but you can decide that ahead of time. In the participants panel here, you have a couple options in addition to simply seeing who's in the meeting. Okay, so normally this is populated with all the names of everybody in the meeting. Notice up by my name up here, but up at the top, you see a microphone and a video camera. I know it's really small here. On the participants panel, if you were to open up today's participants panel, and you can do that, by the way, you can open that. You can also open chat while we go through this. You can see that the microphones have a line through it that shows that they're muted. Maybe people don't have their camera on. You're going to see a red line through the camera icon as well. Now, in addition to finding out whether people are muted or their video is off, down at the bottom here, we have little buttons, yes and no, in addition to some others over here. Say you are in a business meeting and you are taking a vote on an issue that you have had under discussion. And you want to simply say, okay, we're going to take a vote on this issue. All of those in favor of this proposal, click the green yes button at the bottom of the participants panel. The yes mark, the little green check mark, will appear next to those names, people who clicked it. And then say all of those who are against this proposal, click the red no button. That no button is going to appear. You can just do a quick tally right there and do a vote. So that's an easy way of voting and using that as a voting tool during your meetings. You also have the ability to, down here at the bottom, mute everybody. When you're a host, you can mute everybody and you can unmute everybody. I have had some glitches with that with my own personal computer with the unmute all. Usually I'm pretty successful at muting everybody, but then when I try to click unmute all, for some reason it doesn't work very well. So be aware that sometimes, I don't know why it might just be my computer, but double check on using that. So those are some things that you can do on that participants panel. Something else that you can do that I think is very, very important as a host, in the participants panel, right here is the participants box. It's an image of a box here. Notice I am here at the host at the top, and I have Greg Anderson and Joe Roberts, who are also in my meeting. Now, as a host, I might want to designate a co-host, okay? Because if I have an issue with my computer, say my computer screen freezes, which it did in one of my trainings, the co-host then can continue the meeting for you, and maybe you have to join by phone or use a second device that you have. So I think it's important to not only have a host, but to designate somebody as a co-host. And you can do this by going up to the name. So say I want Joe Roberts to be a co-host in my meeting. I'm going to go to his name, and then over on the side where it has the computer, or excuse me, the microphone and the video setting, I'm going to just hover my mouse over that, and this menu is going to open up. And notice where it says make co-host. So I can click that, and now Joe Roberts can take control of the meeting and have virtually nearly all of the same privileges as the host. Okay? Now, you can actually put somebody who is currently in your meeting, you can put them in a waiting room. Well, why in heaven's name would you want to do that? It's like putting them in a timeout. But if you're discussing personnel issues, say I'm discussing personnel issues with my board, and it involves Greg Anderson here, and so I don't want him in the room to be listening in on our discussion. So I am going to go to Greg Anderson's name, and over here on the right, where I see the microphone and camera, I'm going to hover over that. The menu shows up, and I'm going to put in waiting room. Don't forget that Greg Anderson is in the waiting room. You make sure that you bring him back when your discussion is over, okay? So you can do that. You can actually remove somebody permanently from your meeting. Maybe somebody you have no idea who this person is. Somehow, some way, they got a hold of your meeting information and they decided to join in. Maybe they're belligerent. Maybe they're causing a ruckus. You can go up to their name, hover over those two icons, the menu shows up, and you can click remove, and they are booted from the meeting. So that's a security thing more than anything else. There are other controls under that participants panel, that box. So also, to get to these extra controls, you're going to go down here to the bottom of the participant screen. Now remember, you as a participant, you're not going to see this because you're not the host. The host has some controls that you don't have as a participant. So the ... over here on the right will open up this white menu, and you have some choices here. Once again, you've seen these before under the security setting. You can mute participants upon entry, that's your choice. You can allow participants to unmute, the ability to do that, okay? If I were to uncheck that, that means you could try to unmute yourself, but it's not going to work. Only I would then have the ability to do that. Allow participants to rename themselves. Again, that's kind of a no-brainer, at least in my opinion. Play the enter and exit chime. I keep that on until right before my meeting begins. Once my meeting begins, I uncheck it so I'm not hearing that doorbell sound every time somebody comes into my meeting. Enable the waiting room. As I said, I would do that, keep people in the waiting room until about 5 minutes before your meeting. When you open the participants panel at the very top, if you have the waiting room activated, notice it says over here on the left in the box, 2 people are waiting. Admit all. You can admit everybody all at once if you want to, or when it lists the people who are waiting, you can admit people one at a time. Either way. But once my meeting begins, I uncheck this enable waiting room that way people can enter as they desire. And I've already talked about locking the meeting. And again, that's an immediate thing that happens as soon as you click it. Okay, chat. Chat can be used for more than just chatting. There are a number of ways that you as a host can use that chat feature on the toolbar. Remember, the chat feature is the little voice bubble up here on that black toolbar. So obviously, people can ask questions or respond to the host. So I'm hoping that those of you who might have questions today, that you are typing your questions into the chat bar. If you do that, I'm going to look at that chat bar later, and I'm going to look at those questions, and I will be responding to those in a follow-up email. So they can ask questions. The host you can actually share a document right then and there in the meeting. So if I wanted to share a document with you this morning, I would click on that chat feature, and for the host only, down here at the bottom of the chat box, it says file. Remember, this is a host setting, so participants are not going to see this. File. I click on that file icon, and then I can find a file on my computer. So notice I've got, say we're talking about a cruise to the British Isles. How wonderful, right? Cruise to the British Isles, and I have a document about excursions and a city tour brochure, and I want to share that with everybody in my meeting. So I click on File, and I just click on those, the two items, and they're gonna show up in the chat box right here. And then you, as a participant right now, would be able to download. If you hovered over that document, there'd be a little box that says download, and you can download that right then and there onto your computer and save it. So you can share documents as a host. You can also set chat controls down here by that file icon. There's the three dots right there. That opens up a menu that shows what participants in your meeting can and cannot do based on what you're going to allow. Okay, can they chat with nobody? Maybe you don't want chat going on. Can they chat just with you? And if they chat just with you, that means if they type something in that chat bar, only the host is going to see it. Maybe they can chat with everybody publicly, in which case they can go down here where it says to everyone, and just like you can today. Maybe they can chat publicly and privately, so they can send a private message to somebody else who is also participating in the Zoom session. So you can make those settings available or not available to those who are in your Zoom meeting. You can also save your chat, and that's a setting. Again, if you have this control, you can do that by going to your own account page. So this is for your, CalRTA would have to do this setting for you if you schedule through them. If you have your own account, all you do is go into your main account page. Over on the left-hand side, you click settings, and then you scroll through all of those settings that I told you to look at earlier, and you find the message that says down here at the bottom, auto saving chats. And you look at that little button over there on the right. That means that when you record a meeting, the chat bar is going to show up on the right-hand side, and you can go back and review all of those questions. Oh, and it also sends you a file too. It sends you like a document file that allows you to read the chats, the content of the chats. Share screen. This is what all of you presenters really want to know. I know this is very important. So before I get into actually clicking the button to share a screen, this is what I need you to know, and that's why it's in bold yellow over here on the screen. You might want to share your agenda. You might have a PowerPoint. You might have a treasurer's document that you want to share with everybody in your meeting. So to do that, before you even get into Zoom, open those documents or whatever the files are, PowerPoint, whatever, open them up on your computer. Keep them open so that they're already ready to go. All right, then log into Zoom, then get into Zoom. So like this morning before my meeting here, I already had my PowerPoint open and ready to go. Then I got into Zoom after that. So this is really, really important. Otherwise, it's hard to find the documents that you want to share. Once you open those documents and then you get into your Zoom meeting, then you're going to click the share screen button. It's on that toolbar. It's the green one. You can't miss it. You click share screen, and this white menu is going to pop up. All of those things that you had open on your screen are going to show up here. So when I created this PowerPoint, I had a YouTube open. Notice YouTube right there. I had my PowerPoint open on my screen. I had some screenshots open, ready to go. So these are the basic things that you can share. You can actually share your actual computer screen if you want to, but I have found that doing that and trying to use that in a tutorial fashion has severe delays in screen and sound. So I don't know what's with that. You actually can even open up a whiteboard and people can have pens to squiggle on it if you want to. So you share your screen by clicking on the green screen. I want to open my PowerPoint, so I'm going to click on PowerPoint, and then I'm going to go down here to the share button. This is what it looks like. You're looking at my screen right now. Okay, so you might see my image maybe up in the upper right hand corner. You're not going to see these controls, but you will see my PowerPoint. This is the page 1 of my PowerPoint and my image up at the top. You as a host, however, if you're sharing your screen, you're going to see this green bar that says you are screen sharing. And then over here, stop share. You're going to see this bar. This is a movable bar. You can drag it around your screen and place it wherever it's convenient. If you want it at the top of your screen, you can click that arrow on the left-hand side and it's going to bump that thing up to the top. If it's at the top of the screen, you want to move it down, this becomes a down arrow. You click it and it moves it to the bottom of your screen. Okay, so you're going to see your face. You can actually move that around as well. Okay, you don't have to keep it. Maybe it pops up in the middle of your screen. You can move that around by just holding down your cursor in the top and moving it, dragging it. Okay, when you are ready to stop sharing your screen and you want to go back into regular Zoom, gallery view where you see everybody's faces, then you click that red stop share button. And that's going to take you out of whatever it is you're sharing and into a normal Zoom screen. Now, those are the basic sharings. Now, you have 2 other options. You have advanced sharing and files. I have never really used these. I've tested them out just to see what they do. If you click the advanced button, remember I just covered the basic one. If you click advanced, you have 3 options here. You can say, I want to share just this upper left-hand portion of my screen where it says advanced options. If I click on that, a little box appears and I can move it over to the portion of the screen I want to share, and it blocks out everything else. You can share music, or if you have a dock camera and you have a document under a dock camera somewhere else, a second camera, you can share that way as well. If you go down to files and click on that, if you have various cloud storage spaces, if you have Dropbox or you have OneDrive or you have a Google Drive and you have files in there that you want to share, you can access those this way. It's pretty easy. Okay, recording. That is the last item that is going to be on our in our webinar today is the recording. So again, why record? Why would you want to record a meeting? Number one, it provides a backup of information that you covered in your meeting. You can go back and listen to it. Your participants can go back and listen to it. I'm recording this, so you can go and reference this again if you need to. Use it as a tutorial. It also can clarify issues that perhaps maybe were confusing in the course of the meeting and people want to remember, well, let me see, did we vote this way? How did we vote? I don't remember. And you want to go back. So I just think it's a nice thing to do. You can always delete the recording later. It's not kept permanently. If you want to record your meeting, all you do is go down to your toolbar here. If you don't see it on the toolbar, there might be a ... over on the right-hand side or the end of the toolbar. Click on that, and usually you can find your record option. Sometimes your chat is there as well. So look at that ... on the toolbar. That's probably where it is if you don't see it. When you click the record button, you have 2 options. One is to record to your personal computer, okay? Not to CalRTA's computer, but to your personal computer. Okay, so you can do that. Once you click record and you make this choice, you're going to see this little recording button, usually well, at least on my screen, it's in the upper left-hand corner. So you record to your personal computer and it creates an MP4 file. A little message pops up and it asks you where you want to save this file. I usually just save it to my desktop or someplace easy to find, maybe in a folder for Zoom recordings. You save it to your computer. If you save it to your computer and you have a personal Zoom account, it's not going to show up on your personal Zoom account under recordings, just so you know that, but it's on your computer. You also have an option to save to what we call the cloud. Okay, it's up there in cyberspace. It's safe. CalRTA, you can save to the cloud. Pro account, you can save to the cloud. With a free account, you cannot. You can save to your computer. Now, if you want to record to the cloud, when you click that record button, you're going to click on record to the cloud. Okay. If you do that, like I'm recording today's webinar, when I am done, about a half an hour after I'm done, maybe an hour, CalRTA is going to get an email that says the recording is available, the cloud recording is available. If you have your own account, you're going to receive an email on your computer that says your cloud recording is available. So they send you an email. Okay, the host will receive an email from the Zoom link. Remember, CalRTA is the host for today, or if you schedule through them. To access that recording, you might need a password. I'll show you that in a second. All cloud recordings show up on, if you have your own personal account, that cloud recording is going to show up on your personal account page under recordings. Only for the cloud though. So now you want to share your personal cloud recording, okay? And this is from your personal pro account, okay? Say you want to share from your personal account. From your main Zoom account page, when you log into Zoom, over here on the left, I've shown you this before. Remember I showed you the settings over here you're going to want to look at? Okay, see recordings right here? If you click on recordings, notice it says cloud recordings. And all your cloud recordings are going to be listed down here on this menu. Notice it says Sue Breyer's Zoom meeting. And I can click the share button. When I click the share button, this little menu is going to pop up. Down at the bottom of the menu, it says copy sharing information to clipboard. You click on that, it's saved on your clipboard. You go into an email, you paste it. Okay, and then you can email that to your participants and they can actually access the recording as well. If you opened your meeting with CalRTA, as I did, when this session is done, CalRTA is going to get this email. And by the way, if you scheduled your own Zoom, you will get this email in your own email indicating that your Zoom recording is ready to go. So this is what it looks like when you hear from Zoom about your cloud recording. It says your recording is now available. Notice it comes directly from Zoom. And if you are the host, you can just click on this link right here and watch your recording. If you want to share the recording with others, notice that there's a different link and a password. So you're going to want to copy that link and the password. That's what you want to send to participants. For you, all you have to do is click this one. Okay, so that's if you want to share your recording with others. All right, we've got about 6-7 minutes left. I've just got some tips and suggestions for you. As a host in a Zoom, number one, your chat. When you open up your chat, you need to decide if you are going to address chat questions as you go. If you have a small meeting, you could do that. If you have that chat box or bar opened up and you glance over there and somebody has a question, sure, especially if you don't have a time limit. Or, as I'm going to do today, you can hold off and address any of those questions at the end if you have a number of attendees and you have a very long meeting to cover. You may not want to interrupt the continuity of your meeting. An open discussion meeting, you might not need to use chat at all, and that's totally fine. So you don't even have to worry about it. I already mentioned this, consider a backup host. So far, I haven't had, knock on wood, haven't had any issues with this, but sometimes issues happen. Computer screens freeze, audio issues come up. Consider a backup host. And again, You create a backup host by going to the participants panel, hovering over the icons next to the name, and then you make them a co-host. Requiring passwords and enabling the waiting room. Remember, those are security features. You can choose to do that if you want, especially with a large meeting, you might want that just for that added security. Once again, do not post passcodes publicly in any way, shape, or form. In order to avoid audio and visual disruptions during a meeting, especially a large meeting, make sure on your computer you don't have a zillion apps and tabs open. That can sometimes create a problem. It uses a lot of bandwidth, especially if you have photos open. So shut down as much as you can, have open only the things that you intend to share in your meeting. If you hear that audio feedback, that high-pitched noise, it could be because somebody has joined the meeting and they have their computer audio on and they have their cell phone audio on. You can't have both at the same time. It's going to create feedback. So if you're going to join by audio with your phone, then you're going to turn off your audio on your computer. Okay, so you can't have both on. Participants that are in the same room, if you have both of those audios on, that can create feedback as well. Pressing the space bar on your keyboard, pressing the space bar will temporarily unmute you. So once I get back into maybe gallery view for my Zoom and I want to ask questions and I call on somebody, if you hold down the space bar, you will temporarily unmute yourself only if I or the host has given you permission to unmute yourself. Remember, there was that little setting that I can take away that privilege and keep everybody mute until I change that. Background noise. This has been an exceptionally quiet and silent webinar. Not all webinars and meetings are like that. Encourage people to keep their microphones off until they are called upon, in which case they can press that space bar down and speak. It just makes things quiet. Be sure to turn off your personal phone. The last thing you want is text messages and notifications coming in with some kind of a bell ringing or your phone is ringing. So that's just courtesy. Notice that I've got my earbuds in and I'm using these instead of just using my computer microphone. It seems to be clearer when you use a headset than if you're just talking into your computer. Check your environment, okay? Check your environment. If you're gonna Zoom from your living room, make sure that things are picked up and that the setting is looking fairly decent. If not, use a virtual background and then nobody can see what's behind you. If you enable the waiting room, consider disabling the waiting room and the enter and exit chime once your meeting begins, okay? Or you can lock the meeting and remember that means nobody else can come in. Okay, I can't emphasize this next one enough in yellow. Practice, rehearse. I can't tell you how many times I have rehearsed this particular webinar. I have recorded myself probably 5 times to make sure that I have it down and that I know what I'm doing. You have to practice, you have to rehearse. To do so, all you have to do is set up a free Zoom account. You can go in and click, join or start meeting, host a meeting right now with a video on, and you can do all of this on your own. Also, if you want to know, again, how to set up that account, look at the handout that I provided for you. Review and replay the video of this webinar. Again, go to calrta.org, click on webinars, and you can review this, go back, check your notes, and make sure that you understand all of these settings. Do you need additional training? Maybe you need help with iPads or smartphones. Maybe that's going to be an upcoming webinar. Make those suggestions either in the chat box or on the feedback form that you're going to get. Okay, if you have questions, I'm hoping that you have put them in the chat bar. If you need help beyond this, feel free to email me. My email address is right here, ronandsue82@gmail.com. I will get back to you and I will address any questions or issues you might have. I am going to now stop sharing. And oh, look at all these lovely faces. Gosh, I haven't been able to, it's been strange. I've been looking at nothing. I have not seen a face the whole meeting. And that's very strange to, to do that. I'm gonna also open up chat. Holy cow. Well, we've got a lot of good chat questions here. I'm gonna try to unmute you all. It worked with some of you.
Okay.
This is the end of today's webinar. This is the end of today's webinar.
Will always show up next to the host, but everybody else doesn't see us next to the host.
Okay, I'm hearing somebody talk. I'm thinking I'm hearing Pat.
Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. If you would like to hang around for some questions that I can address, feel free to do so. I know we have quite a few people here. There's 2 pages of people. Holy cow. Otherwise, feel free to go and hit the exit button, the leave button in the lower right-hand portion of your screen, and look for the upload of the video. And again, if you want additional webinars or trainings, feel free to make those suggestions on the feedback form or type them into the group chat over on the right. But I am going to hang out for about another 10 minutes, and I'm going to look at some of these questions over on the right and address some of those. A lot of these are private to me. Oh, to everyone. Can these slides be accessed in full screen size to download and print out? Yeah, if you would like to access, if you want a copy of this PowerPoint, why don't you email me, Ron and Sue, RONANDSUE82@gmail.com, and I'll send you the PowerPoint. Okay, and then you can have full screen and you can have a ball just downloading and printing and using all your blue ink. There's a lot of blue on there. Sorry. I think Pat Seaman pointed out, do you know how much blue you have on there? It's going to use up all my blue ink. I'm like, well, duh, maybe I should work on that later. Let's see here. So yeah, so good thing on that. Oh, it says here, is Phyllis the co-host? I don't think so. No, we actually made my husband the co-host because the last time my computer weirded out on me in the middle of a webinar, I had to go and open up his computer and finish the webinar on his computer because mine decided it didn't want to cooperate. So that's why we make him the co-host. I see a hand up, Donna.
I think the question was because Sue, I think the question was because her picture kept popping up on the screen for some reason.
That's correct.
That's interesting.
That's correct. That's why I asked.
Oh, no. Well, as far as I know, I did not make Phyllis a co-host. She's not. So why her face was popping up at the top? Well, Phyllis was in the spotlight, I guess. That's awesome. Okay, let me see. Who had a question? Was it Donna had a question?
That was my question, is why her face kept coming over yours and then your voice would sometimes drop out.
Really? Okay. Did that happen to everybody? No.
No.
Just some?
Yeah.
It was because
Okay.
she was not muted.
Oh, okay. That's a good point. By the way, when people have their microphones open, all right. So right now I'm talking and you might see a yellow box around me, but if somebody else makes noise, you're going to see the yellow box go over to their screen is going to show up because the yellow box highlights who is speaking or who's making the most noise. So if somebody's making a lot of noise in the background and talking, the computer is going to think that they are now the speaker, okay? And they're going to be highlighted. That is when it's in speaker view up in the upper corner. Okay, it's going to focus in and hone in on the speaker. Maggie?
Yes. I hear in Zoom you could separate people into groups.
Yes.
I'd like to learn how to do that.
Okay, I would love
Breakout
to have
rooms
been
and-
able to put that in today's training. It's super, super, super easy. I might even be able to show you how to do it just by typing up a easy how-to sheet and sending it to you. If you're interested in that, it's super easy, okay? Either that or we can do another simple webinar on that, or I can do a one-on-one tutorial with you and show you how to do it. Either way, if you're interested in me putting together a how-to sheet, go ahead and type it in the chat bar and I'll make sure that I look at that. As I said, it's super easy. All you have to do, you go into, if you have your own account, you go into that settings menu on your main account page, go into settings, and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll down until you get to breakout groups. Okay, you get to breakout groups and you have to activate it. You have to activate the little button. Okay, and then it's going to show up on your toolbar, that black toolbar down at the bottom. It'll say breakout groups. Okay, and it's really super easy. Oh, iPad, Becky Carroll. There we go. See, I could tell who it came from. It's going to show up. Then breakout rooms are going to show up on your toolbar. And if I wanted to put all of you guys into random breakout rooms, so I'm looking at, okay, say I have 50 people and I want to put 10 people per room. So I need 5 breakout rooms. All I have to do is tell the computer I want 5 breakout rooms. They're going to put you in a breakout room, okay? And then you click a button and you send everybody to their rooms and they can talk and talk and talk and talk. And as a host, you can actually send them a message and say, you only have 5 more minutes in your breakout room, okay? And then you end the room. There's a little button that clicks end the room, and then they all come back. You give them like 20 seconds to come back to the main room, and that's all you do. It's super easy. I see BJ Nancy up there.
I don't know how to change my name. That was for another meeting. I heard that you don't have control over who you put in the groups, though.
You do. You have 2 options. Yeah, you have 2 options.
Okay.
You can either choose to assign a room to each person, if you want to go through 50 participants and assign them a room, or it can be random. Either way. Yeah. Let's see here, because I can't see, lots of people have left, so we're down to, I think, 1 screen here. Let me see here. Might be a good idea to block video as who wants to see people eating and drinking. That's awesome. And that's true, that's true. I know some webinars, they require you to have your video off. And actually that helps with the bandwidth, and so that's good to do too. Really, I mean, you don't really need to see other people when you're attending a webinar.
Sue?
Yeah, Jim, I hear you.
Sue, they could also go to speaker view. If they go up in the top corner instead of gallery view, which shows them everybody, if they click on speaker view, it will only show whoever is talking and you won't see all the other pictures.
Okay, well, and like we saw before, you will see pictures. The speaker view might change if somebody's making a lot of noise in their particular setting. As I said, if you're on speaker view and the mics are not muted, the computer might think that that person is the speaker. And so their image is going to pop up right in the middle. So speaker view is good if everybody is muted, okay? If everybody's muted. Let's see here. Can you have more than 1 person on a pro account? You can purchase for a PC, of course. You can have more than 1 on a pro account. I don't know the logistics of all of that. Okay, I don't know the logistics of all of that because I've never put multiple people on a pro account. Okay. I'm muting everybody. I'm muting everybody again, but if you need to speak, hold down the space bar on your keyboard and you can speak, okay? Because I'm getting background noise, a lot of it. Let's see here. I'm looking at questions. Do documents need to be preloaded in order to share on chat? No, they could just be in your file. So when I uploaded those 2 documents onto that chat, all I did was click on that little file icon, and I went to, you know, my file on vacations, and I had some documents that were easy to find. So no, it's really, really easy. So you don't have to preload them or anything. I mean, they have to be on your computer somewhere in a file. Okay. Please email screen size handouts. I will do that. Can only the host share screen? No. So if you go down to, well, only if you're the host. If you go down to the share screen button, you can determine, you have a choice. One participant can share at a time, or multiple participants can share simultaneously. Now, I'm not quite sure how that works because I've not experimented with it. I'm assuming that it might be easier if one participant shares at a time, okay? Otherwise, you could have 3 or 4 documents and they might be so small you're not gonna be able to read them, okay? So be cognizant of that, okay? And then you have other advanced sharing options, which I don't quite know about. Let's see, let me see. Can we access recordings of webinars that we didn't attend? Absolutely. Okay, you go on to calrta.org. You don't even have to log in. You scroll about halfway down the page. You look for the webinars box. Click on the webinars box. I think you had to do that to register, right? Didn't you? Some of you did, I think. So you click on that webinars box and the recordings are over on the right side. So if you missed my Zoom for basics, the basic Zoom one, you can click on that and get caught up on what you missed. If you want the PowerPoint for that, I can send it to you. You just have to email me that, okay? Because those documents are not uploaded onto that same webinar site, okay? When will the document be available that lists the steps necessary to host a Zoom meeting? To host, I can send that to you when I follow up maybe with emails, or I can get all of your emails and I can send it out to all of you so you have that. Okay, I'm assuming you guys want that. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, if you have any other questions, you got to mute yourself. Okay, see Sherry, can you press down your space bar and unmute yourself, or do you know how to do that? Oh, no. Hang on. I'm going to unmute you. See, I muted everybody and it won't. There we go,
Okay.
Sherry.
Okay, yeah. This is the first time I've been on my phone because my husband's on another Zoom meeting on my computer. So, I don't see up at the top where you can go from gallery to speaker.
Oh, on opening on your phone?
Yeah.
I'd have to open it up on my phone and see.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I don't know if you can do a gallery view on a phone.
Maybe because it's so
It's
small.
so small.
Maybe
Okay.
that's
If
okay.
somebody else has the answer to that, you know, let them know. But I would guess it's because the screen is so small, you're not gonna be able to see everybody. I'll have to play with that. That's a good question, Sherry.
Okay.
Any other questions from anybody that have come up? Oh, thank you for being such a great audience, you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for being great participants.
Very good.
Contact me if you have any questions. I will email. I'll even practice with you. We can do a Zoom together and I'll practice with you. Okay?
Sounds
All
good.
right. You guys have a great day.
You too.
Bye now.